Alrighty then. Okay, so what I've got going on here is a virtual control. Let's do this for this. So virtual control 1 of the Rexroth CTLX1 Core, and I have a simulated differential pressure gauge for a NodeRed display, and this NodeRed is for Control X, so it is running off of my Control X core where my PLC is running, and then down here I have PLC display so that I can toggle values and we can see them change. So if I get rid of this, maybe, there we go. Let's see. Alright, let's just pop this up for a second. So I've got Control X PLC engineering running on my local machine, and we are displaying, or I did a little PLC program here with, I'm going to do a little application about bag house pulse jet. As you can see, I've got an input pressure, and from the dirty side and from the clean side, we're taking the difference, doing an absolute, and then that way I can have a differential pressure across the manifold, and I can change these values to meet, you know, whatever expectation that I want. In this case, just to show that we've got some change, and again, this is just to simulate a little bit of an application so that you can see how easy it is to take PLC data and run the application in your Control X core and put it on your NodeRed, which my flow editor is over here. And I have brought in the Control X automation. So this is NodeRed for Control X. So just so that you are aware, these two blocks are made up for Control X. And so if I want to configure, what I did was subscribe. So I am subscribing to this data point in the PLC application sim PLC program differential pressure. So if I come in here, I'm already porting to my subscription, localhost, blah, blah, blah. I called it Control X test. All right. And if I go PLC, and I believe it's application. Let me check over here real quick just to be sure. Alright, so PLC application sim PLC program differential pressure. So PLC application, and then sim PLC program, and then differential pressure. So I've got all of these that I can pick from. So why don't I just pull in clean air for this one, and then you can see that it populates okay, and we will put a debug right here, Dun, dun, dun. Let's deploy. And if I go back over here to debug, and you should see the difference. So 2.299 and 1.73. Let's do this so that we can see it on the screen there as well. Alright, so you can see the differences there as well. So just so that you are convinced, so keep those in mind. Just so that you're convinced that we're connected, which I can show you where we are connected in a minute. I'm going to go back over here to PLC. And PLC program. And we will go 2.5, 5, and 0.25. And write the values. You see the change. And we see the change here on the NodeRed side. So I also have a gauge set up for the one. And if you notice, this is actually on my Control-X IP address for my local node. So it's simulating a Control-X controller. So it's on, it'd be the same thing as if you're running the PLC off of the Control-X hardware and you had NodeRed installed. So to give you an idea on that, let's go over here to the virtual controller 1, and this is my home screen. So you can see that I've got a NodeRed dashboard, which I can bring up there, or I can close it out. My oscilloscope isn't working right now, so we'll leave that alone. But you can see that I have one PLC application, and that is in a run mode status. The PLC is set up here. Right now, we're not going to grab that from there because when I do that, I get an error, but that's another issue. Or when I try to start PLC engineering from here, I get an error. But I can run PLC locally and then download to the virtual machine. So like if I wanted to source download to the connected one, you're seeing it do that now. Let's see if it'll show me. Yeah, so you can see that my connection here is my virtual control. And I'm using the Control-X gateway, and it's going to the virtual control 1, which is set up here. This is actually virtual control 1. And I have a PLC application, and I have a NodeRed application, of which we can see the flow editor, as well as the dashboard. So, and it takes very little time to get it set up and to get it talking. It'd probably be easier to do with a physical device. But in this case, it is what it is. I don't have a physical device at the moment, but how you get it set up is you go into settings, and you want to manage applications. And then from applications, you have to install the NodeRed and the PLC to have those applications in your virtual core. I also had the oscilloscope in there. I wanted to do some motion simulation, or just playing around with their applications just to give you an idea. Let's go into service. If we go into service, then you can see that I can change these up. These are all your core apps. I don't want to play with those. But if I was to install from a file, or from an application, I should say, these are application files that you have to use if you want to add something different to your CTLX platform. For instance, let's just add the Python. I can just open that up. It installs it. And right now it's putting in the Python runtime for the embedded runtime onto the CTLX core. And again, I'm doing all of this on one computer, so it's my computer's running out of space because I have too much junk on there. But you know, if you were running a standalone computer for the purpose of just running the CTLX core and the applications that are related, you could do this probably a bit quicker. And then also you can split some of these things up if you needed to. So anyway, you can see that it added Python runtime, and we are still in service mode. So if I want to return to an operation status, then I have to go back to operating. Now the core is back in operating. You can check out the logbook to make sure that you're back to operating. And you will get errors if the scheduler doesn't respond properly. And that's what I've had some trouble with as far as running the PLC application software from the CTLX core. Initially I didn't have any issue. I don't know if it's a Windows 11 issue or something else going on. I've reset the configuration several times and I'm still having the error, and waiting to hear back from Bosch on that. Anyway, there's other diagnostics, but currently these are all clear. These are just like a log, just showing you the log, and obviously I got 76 items, so yeah, so this is where you go to figure out your issues when you do have a problem. So it's most of the time it'll tell you what's going on. If you're new to the environment, as I am, then it's a matter of figuring out what exactly it's telling you as far as these error codes. You can find them on the website or with the documentation that it pulls up. Eventually it'll go there. And in German standard, it sometimes gives you the answer and sometimes it can be a bit vague and you still have to search around. So instead of waiting around for that, I'm going to cut that out. Let's go to alright, so data layer. Understanding where your data comes in will help you when you're looking for it elsewhere. And this is where the symbols come in for the PLCs. If we go application, symbol, PLC program, and then that's where I can monitor those. So these are all coming from the PLC program. And just for grins and giggles, let's go over here and we will change it to 2.40. and 0.85. Debug, right values, pop over here, and you see the differential pressure, which is there, 0.85. So in this case, not being used right now. I'm just doing it all off of the diff-p. But what I wanted you to be able to see is the data layer and the different places that you would go to find the information that you need, or as far as where you're going to put it up. So anyway, I haven't gone through all of this, but that's how you find the PLC data. There's another, you can also see that you can find, you can pull in whatever, pretty much whatever you want, as long as there's a register that's holding it. So this is for the application with the symbols, and if I had real I/O devices coming in, then I would be able to find to use the I/O. Let's see. I am confusing that with the I/O devices over here. So part of my engineering tools from ControlWorks, you can create the ControlX I/O engineering, and then also the drive, and then you would point that back or connect it to your virtual or to your actual IPC. So, and then this is the app build environment for building your own apps, and I haven't played with that yet. Devices here. This is where my control core virtual was made, and if I wanted to add a device, I could do so this way. And if I wanted to add a link to an existing ControlX core, of course, we would just add the IP address and then be able to connect the ControlX to the current application. In ControlWorks, as far as adding a device, it's kind of like the way Inductive does it as far as using containers and having a layered approach. So anyway, so NodeRed sets up fairly easy, and the default nodes that come with ControlX automation are at the top here. The rest of these are the same as regular NodeRed, and with the exception that the well, I don't even think it's with the exception, because these are built in, but instead of running the display from here as far as the dashboard, you would pull it up from your screen on your controller itself, which should be dropped down here so that you can see it. Alright then, that's NodeRed, kind of a quick go around on the ControlX core, and setting up the PLC application, or at least displaying a PLC application on the core, and the PLC application is actually in here. As you can see, we're talking about code sys, so the Code 6 structures are going to work the same way, and obviously they'll have their own Control-X automation libraries that you get to pull in on top of whatever other libraries that are available. But most everything that you would need for a base Code 6 controller with the Control-X and the Bosch Rexroth libraries on the side as well for Bosch Rexroth motion control is all available. And just to give you an idea on the motion, the drive utilities and the extensions, the interfaces, PLC open, and then they've got all of the field bus interfaces that you want to be able to bring in. On top of that, alarm managers, instruction tags, strings, SFCs, networking. It's all available. So I've barely scratched the surface on what Control-X can do. Anyway, check them out if you are interested. I don't think I've got the website pulled up, so I've got AWS pulled up. Anyway, go to BoshRexRothCTLXNodeRed and look up Control-X, and you'll be able to find it and download. So, enjoy.